The spoon proves mightier than the bars at supposedly escape-proof Alcatraz prison. 3 bank robbers serving long terms scratched their way through grills covering an air vent, climbed a drainage pipe, and disappeared from the forbidding rock in San Francisco Bay. It appears to be the first successful escape in the history of the maximum security prison, and the flight is attributed by Warden Olin Blackwell to the deteriorating condition of the prison, crumbling concrete and eroding metals, with $5 million needed for repairs. The men the walls couldn't hold are Frank Morris and John and Clarence Anglin. Authorities believe that Morris, who has a superior IQ, masterminded the escape. Ironically, the wanted posters offer only the nominal reward of $50 each for information leading to the arrest of the prisoners. They painstakingly fashioned dummies of plaster with hair of paintbrush bristles to stand in for them during cell check, while they covered an escape hole with a cardboard grill. All of this was within easy visual range of the guards in the gun galleries. They climbed drain pipes to the top of the cell block and then slid down vents to the ground. Again, all of this within sight of guards. The escape triggered the greatest manhunt in San Francisco's history, as agents of the FBI, Coast Guardsmen, Highway Patrol, sheriff's deputies, and local police joined in the search. Whatever their fate, the 3 convicts have apparently accomplished a feat that many have tried with no success.
Prior to the Anglin escape, there had been much talk about closing the island, and this escape sort of cinched the deal. And the reason behind it was not exactly the escape, but the fact that it had been brought out the deterioration of the cell house itself from a structural nature.
Those who wanted it there were able to say, we have to have an escape-proof prison. So when these guys disappeared, there was still some people trying to keep it open actively. J. Edgar was one of them. And the thing that put a period to all of it and made the dissolution come about was Scotty, a guy named Scott, escaped December 16th. And there was no doubt about him making it.
On December 16th, 1962, the last escape from Alcatraz occurred. Exactly 25 years to the day after Cole and Rowe attempted the first. John Paul Scott became the only man known to escape from Alcatraz and make it to the mainland alive. Nearly swept out to sea and half dead from exposure, he was recovered on the rocks beneath the Golden Gate Bridge and returned to the island. Almost 1 year after Attorney General Robert Kennedy announced the prospective closing of Alcatraz, Warden Blackwell invited reporters to the island for the 4th and last time in the prison's history. Halfway through the press conference, the first inmates were escorted out of the cell block. "39 men in 14 separate attempts had risked their lives to escape from Alcatraz. "26 of these men were captured and returned to custody. 7 had been shot and killed. 1 had drowned, and 5 would never be seen or heard from again. On the surface, the island had been closed because it no longer served its original purpose. It was an experiment in penology that failed. But far below that, was the fact that Alcatraz had never worked. The island prison, for most of its history, had been an administrative and economic disaster. In 1953, Republican Senator William Langer told the Senate that an inmate could be boarded with less expense in New York's Waldorf Astoria than in Alcatraz Penitentiary. At the time, the operating costs for the prison were $5 million a year, which averaged out to $90 a day per man. When it closed in 1963, it was costing more than twice as much to keep a convict in Alcatraz than in any other federal prison. It had endured for over 25 years, lasting as the home for the toughest criminals in the nation. Finally, they and it were to be broken by nature. But there were other claims, and the American Indians seized Alcatraz with a well-thought-out vengeance after the prison was gone. While the country debated about what to do with the island, their course became clear.
In 1968, the United Bay Area Council of American Indian Affairs was vitally concerned about what was happening to our Indian people that were coming to the Bay Area. And we knew that Alcatraz was sitting there, an invitation, an abandoned federal prison. It was symbolic in so many ways about mankind being trapped or put in cages and set aside. We felt that oftentimes Indians were treated in the same manner by this country. November 9, 1969 was the day we occupied Alcatraz.
We're trying to reclaim the island for the uses of all the Indian people, set up a cultural center, center of ecology, spiritual center, to maintain our traditions, our way of life, to teach our religions to our kind, our children.
We invite the United States to acknowledge the justice of our claim. The choice now lies with the leaders of the American government to use violence upon us, as before, to remove us from our Great Spirit's land, or to institute a real change in its dealings with the American Indians.
The initial reaction of the White House to the occupation, I would say, was one of a let's wait and see what transpires attitude. But as the weeks went on, it became apparent that the matter had to be handled with a high degree of sensitivity. Quite candidly, using force on the island, it was our collective opinion on the White House advisory group that we might be faced with another Kent state.
What will you do if the federal government comes here and starts to get tough?
Well, we're concerned about the safety of our women and children first, but some of the younger people make it worth their while.
How do you mean?
They'll have to flush us out of every building here, every opening that they can find us in.
But after 17 months, a bored and unsympathetic public turned its attentions elsewhere. Gone were the donations of food, money, and clothing. Gone, too, was the defiance, fervor, and unity which had made the initial group so strong.